Shabbat Shalom, Parashat Behar. The Torah starts off with a perplexing and seemingly superfluous comment. Vaydaber Hashem al Moshe Behar Sinai lemor. Continues the Torah to detail for us the timely mitzvah of Shemitah. The classic question is asked, why does the Torah have to make special reference to Har Sinai here? Were not all the commandments given to Moshe Rabbeinu in Sinai? With whatever interpretation we want to give to the exact nature of how these commandments were transmitted? Clearly all the mitzvot are believed to have been received in Sinai. Comes the Medrash and introduces the classic line, Ma inyan Shemitah etzel Har Sinai. What is Shemitah doing on Har Sinai? Explaining, of course, that in the same exact way that Shemitah, with all of its intricate details, were given to Moshe in Sinai, so too were all the mitzvot given to Moshe in Sinai. Well, there's a newsflash. We know that. Of course we know that. That is one of the basic tenets of our faith, that all mitzvot were given in Sinai. Why single out Shemitah? Well, there are many different perspectives to why Shemitah is chosen to be the mitzvah that is highlighting this principle. But I would like to put a greater focus on this question, perhaps a deeper focus, that touches a deep-rooted philosophical question that we are challenged with in Eretz Yisrael today. Today, Eretz Yisrael is filled with leaders from all around the world coming to celebrate the wonderful birthday of the State of Israel. And we hear wonderful accolades from leaders on the importance of the State of Israel, the great contribution that we have to humanity, the miracle of rebirth of the Jewish people. Wonderful, wonderful statements, all pledging to ensure the safety and security and longevity of the State of Israel. Yet, if you walk amongst the streets of Israel, you talk to the average Israeli, security is the last thing that they feel. In fact, most Israelis feel a great threat to our safety and security. Brewing threats from the north, horrific daily barrages and attacks from the south, the inhabitants of the western Negev and the town of Sderot, and now even the city of Ashkelon, are suffering daily. Is this the sense of security that we longed for? On this year of Shemitah, when we desperately try to adhere to the laws that God gave us, do we merit the great promise that God gives us? If you indeed keep the mitzvot, if you do all of the mitzvot that I commanded you, you will sit with great security on the land. The land will give its fruit and you will eat plentifully. That we merit to sit in safety and security? Clearly, we have much work to do before we will merit such a wonderful promise. Why is that? In the great debate over the use of heter mechira, the sale of the land, the technical sale of the land to Shemitah versus buying the produce that is not produced by Jews in this land, we seem to get caught up in the halachic nuances and yet miss the greater, deeper philosophical challenge before us. It is beyond my comprehension to understand those elements within the religious world that prefer to support the worst of our enemies by buying produce only that are grown by our enemies, thus strengthening their financial well-being and weakening the safety and security of those Jewish farmers that are desperately trying to hold on to the land in the name of a halachic nuance, in the name of a halachic dilemma that is solvable. And even if you are unconvinced of the halachic nuance, there are other solutions other than supporting the worst of our enemies. Perhaps this is part of the deeper message of Shemitah. If you want a better understanding of the halachic dilemma, I welcome you to contact the Young Israel Council of Rabbis. They will be happy to provide you with a publication that I wrote at the beginning of the year explaining all of the halachic intricacies of Shemitah. But the philosophical underpinnings here are expressed so powerfully in our parasha, the parasha that mirrors Parashat Mishpatim, the first time that the laws of Shemitah are details. But in Parashat Mishpatim, while the focus of Shemitah is entirely a social focus, in our parasha, the focus of Shemitah is one clear message. This land is my land. Ki li kol haaretz. This land belongs to Kadosh Baruch Hu. Even your private possessions, your ability to buy land and sell land, to deal in real estate, is all temporary. Because come the Yovel, come the Jubilee year, all land will revert back to its original owner. Because at the end of the day, I, God, divvied up this land. And I made each one of you responsible as a safekeeper to the land that I gave you. Because the land is mine. If we truly understood this message, if we truly understood that this land is God's land, if our leadership comprehended that they are not marketing and negotiating over land that is so easily divvied up and given away, if the average Israeli sensed in his heart that this holy land truly belongs to God, perhaps the philosophical argument would not be an argument at all. We would all intuitively know that we need to do anything we possibly can to avoid supporting our enemies. One should never be shopping, supporting, and giving finances over to those that have declared publicly that their sole goal is to annihilate you. It is ludicrous. One should be doing everything they possibly can to support those that give their lives every single day to be able to hold on to this precious land. If we want to be able to merit the promises of Yishavtem lavetach aleha, that you should sit in security and tranquility upon this land, then we need to be able to promise to ourselves that we will live up to the promise that this land is God's land. And indeed, the parasha ends with a wonderful guarantee in a simple word. The parasha closes with the words, Ani Hashem, and Rashi in his succinct language simply says, Ne'eman ani leshalem sachar. I am a guarantor. I am trustworthy to pay the rewards of your investments. In fact, this is our request from God. Of course, assuming that we could own up to his request from us. Remember who truly owns this land, and I will repay you with a sense of tranquility and safety. This is our prayer for the year to come. May this year of Shemitah be the beginning of a true revival in our belief and understanding that the true master of this land is watching over us. Shabbat Shalom.